there's nobody like this, and he shouldn't be penalized. And when I watched the other day, I said, I can't believe it. It should be the opposite.
Giving up your other stuff? I mean, how are you running your other businesses?
With great difficulty.
Because he's finding all sorts of terrible things that have taken place against our country. They want to penalize him.
Tesla has been at the center of innovation for over a decade, dominating the electric vehicle industry and shaping the future of transportation. But in a stunning reversal, the empire built by Elon Musk is now facing its darkest chapter. In just 90 days, Tesla's stock has plummeted by more than 50%, wiping out over $400 billion in market value. Factories that once buzzed with activity are now ghost towns. Employees are walking out, investors are pulling out, and consumers are turning away. Even more shocking, Tesla's most profitable market, Europe, has turned its back on the company. What happened? How did a brand that symbolized technological brilliance and sustainability become a symbol of political controversy, economic missteps, and internal rebellion? And most importantly, can Tesla recover? Or are we witnessing the end of an era? Real quick, if you're into videos that cut through the noise and break things down clearly, go ahead and hit that like button. It helps more people find this. And if you're not subscribed yet, now's a good time. We've got more deep dives coming your way. Also, drop a comment and let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your take. Now, onto the video. In this in-depth video, we dive deep into the shocking downfall of Tesla, unraveling the interconnected crises that brought the company to its knees. From failed international relations and political blunders to financial panic and workforce revolts, this is the story of how the world's most iconic electric vehicle company lost everything almost overnight. The collapse of Tesla is not merely a story about a company losing its market share. It is a lesson in hubris, a cautionary tale about the dangers of overreach, and a stark reminder of how fragile even the most celebrated enterprises can be when global politics, economics, and public perception turn against them. Tesla's rapid rise once seemed unstoppable. Now, its equally rapid fall has left analysts and consumers alike questioning the future of electric vehicles, the sustainability of tech-driven business models, and Elon Musk's role as a modern-day innovator. What began as a ripple of market concern has become a tsunami of structural failure, engulfing Tesla's finances, brand reputation, supply chain, and employee morale. With so many variables at play, from Trump's tariffs to China's retaliation, it's clear that Tesla's problems run far deeper than just the stock ticker. This isn't just about numbers, it's about influence, trust, and power. So buckle in. The story of Tesla's fall isn't just another tech industry drama. It could very well be the tipping point that reshapes the entire electric vehicle industry as we know it. From 2018 to 2022, Tesla was the golden child of Europe's electric vehicle movement. Its presence was dominant, especially in Germany, France, and Italy, where forward-thinking consumers embraced the brand's cutting-edge technology and sleek designs. Tesla showrooms brimmed with activity, and the opening of the Gigafactory in Berlin was hailed as a turning point in local production. Europeans admired Elon Musk's innovation, and for a while, Tesla symbolized progress and the promise of a greener future. Tesla didn't just sell cars in Europe, it sold a vision. Owning a Tesla meant being a part of something revolutionary, a sustainable movement powered by ingenuity, ambition, and a touch of Silicon Valley glamour. But that admiration began to sour with the rise of political tension. In early 2025, President Donald Trump enacted aggressive tariffs targeting imported auto components. Though aimed at reviving U.S. manufacturing, the move triggered a fierce backlash from European leaders, who saw the tariffs as a direct attack on transatlantic economic cooperation and global trade fairness. Tesla became collateral damage. The tariffs targeted critical parts used in Tesla's manufacturing, and while other companies diversified or localized production, Tesla remained heavily dependent on global supply chains. The company's reliance on lithium, cobalt, and other high-tech components from Asia and Europe made it uniquely vulnerable. As European sentiment shifted, the media turned hostile. Musk's erratic behavior and controversial statements didn't help. He was portrayed as an American outsider who disregarded European values, appearing more as a tech overlord than a business partner. Tariffs increased production costs, but more importantly, they fueled a public backlash. Tesla's image quickly crumbled as political and cultural tensions took center stage. Sales data told the story best. Germany, once Tesla's largest European market, saw a 73% drop in sales year over year in Q1 2025. France followed with a 66% decline, and Italy with a 70% plunge. European Auto Watch surveys showed over 60% of former Tesla owners cited political misalignment and a negative brand image as reasons for switching. This wasn't a slow decline, it was a mass exodus. And the ripple effects extended beyond consumers. Local governments, once supportive of Tesla's sustainability efforts, began redirecting subsidies and incentives toward domestic EV manufacturers. Tesla found itself boxed out of regional initiatives, its projects stalled, and its expansion plans delayed. Public sentiment, political policy, and economic pressure all turned against the company in unison. The combination of rising prices, political tension, and cultural disconnect made Tesla an easy target for consumers eager to support domestic alternatives. As Europe turned from Tesla's most reliable partner into its biggest critic, the company found itself in a downward spiral that seemed almost impossible to escape. Tesla had built an empire on innovation, but when faced with an ideological and political revolt from one of its largest markets, the limitations of that empire were exposed. What was once a European love affair became a painful breakup, and the fallout was just getting started. Tesla's financial collapse didn't start slowly. It hit like an avalanche. In early January, Tesla's market capitalization was hovering near $770 billion. By the end of March, it had plummeted to just over $360 billion. That's a staggering $410 billion erased from shareholder value in less than a quarter. Wall Street panicked. Major institutional investors, including BlackRock and Vanguard, began dumping Tesla shares at unprecedented rates. These firms had long considered Tesla a core holding in their tech and auto portfolios. But as the price nosedived, risk mitigation took precedence. The problem wasn't just sentiment, it was structure. Many investors held Tesla stock on margin, essentially borrowing money to buy more shares. When the price fell below certain thresholds, margin calls were triggered. This forced investors to either deposit more funds or sell off shares to cover debts. Automated trading systems compounded the effect, rapidly unloading shares and exacerbating the free fall. The effects rippled across the financial sector. Mutual funds with heavy Tesla allocations underperformed. Pension funds felt the shock. And retail investors, many of whom believed in Tesla's mission with near religious fervor, saw their portfolios decimated. One investor told Bloomberg, "I put my retirement in Tesla. I believed in the company. Now I'm looking at working another 10 years. The emotional toll of this financial collapse cannot be overstated. Tesla wasn't just another stock. It was a symbol of innovation in the clean energy future. Worse still, the financial collapse began affecting suppliers and partners. Companies that built batteries, chips, and charging infrastructure for Tesla saw their orders slashed and stock values tumble. Confidence was evaporating. Financial instability at the top of the chain disrupted production schedules and forced layoffs across Tesla's vast supplier network. Credit rating agencies noticed. Moody's and Standard & Poor's downgraded Tesla's bonds, signaling higher risk. The downgrade increased borrowing costs, just as Tesla needed cash to weather the storm. Investors viewed the downgrade as a clear signal. Tesla was no longer a safe bet. Financial analysts began questioning the sustainability of Tesla's model. With narrow margins and high innovation costs, could the company survive prolonged instability? As panic spread, the once unshakable faith in Tesla turned into a grim warning for tech investors everywhere. The real fear was contagion. As Tesla fell, would other tech companies follow? Would the electric vehicle industry be seen as overhyped and under-delivering? Was this the beginning of the end for the clean energy stock bubble? One thing was certain. Tesla, the poster child of innovation and tech triumph, had suddenly become the greatest cautionary tale in modern market history. And just as the financial pillars crumbled, the foundation, Tesla's supply chain, was about to be rocked by a political decision that would make everything even worse. While Tesla faced a cascade of consumer backlash and investor panic in Europe, another force was silently delivering blow after blow: American policy, specifically a set of aggressive tariff decisions introduced by President Donald Trump in early 2025. Though these measures were meant to protect and revive domestic manufacturing, they ended up becoming a trap for one of America's most iconic tech companies. At the heart of the crisis was an executive order signed by Trump targeting foreign automotive parts and electronic components. The administration imposed steep tariffs on imported materials essential to electric vehicle EV production, including lithium, cobalt, nickel, semiconductors, and high-efficiency electronics. These tariffs, ranging from 15% to 35%, were meant to reduce America's reliance on imports and force companies to build more within U.S. borders. But Tesla wasn't like a traditional automaker. Its entire supply chain was global, built around efficiency, innovation, and competitive pricing. Raw materials came from Africa and South America, components from Asia, and battery modules from Europe. The tariffs did not simply raise costs. They dismantled the operational foundation that Tesla relied upon. With production already slowed due to European backlash and falling demand, Tesla suddenly faced a dramatic spike in manufacturing costs. Battery packs that once cost $10,000 per unit to produce now ballooned in cost due to tariff penalties. Essential processors and chips imported from Taiwan and South Korea became nearly 30% more expensive overnight. Tesla faced an impossible choice: absorb the increased costs and operate at a loss, or pass them on to consumers. Both options were deadly. Absorbing costs threatened profitability in a time of declining investor confidence. Raising prices risked alienating price-sensitive buyers already turning to competitors like Hyundai and BYD. Attempts to renegotiate supply contracts failed. International suppliers, themselves affected by the tariffs, refused to reduce prices. With no viable domestic alternatives for many of these components, Tesla couldn't escape the pressure. Beyond cost, the tariffs disrupted supply chain logistics. Shipments of parts that once flowed smoothly into Tesla's gigafactories were now subject to customs delays and additional inspections. Tesla's Berlin factory reported production halts as key components from Asia were stuck in customs for weeks. In Fremont and Austin, just-in-time assembly models broke down, causing factory slowdowns and missed delivery deadlines. The economic pain was severe, but the optics were worse. Musk, an outspoken figure on social media, initially defended the tariffs as a necessary evil for American resurgence. He tweeted in support of Trump's America First economic policy, aligning himself with the very measures that were crippling his company. This political alignment further alienated Tesla's international customer base. European and Asian consumers, already wary of Musk's rhetoric, saw the company's silence or support on trade wars as complicit. The backlash intensified. News outlets accused Musk of hypocrisy, building factories overseas while praising tariffs that hurt global suppliers. By late March, internal documents revealed that Tesla's profit margins had slipped to their lowest level since 2015. Analysts estimated that each Model Y produced under the new tariff regime cost Tesla nearly 18% more to build than just 3 months prior. Meanwhile, cheaper EV competitors were flooding the market, free from such geopolitical entanglements. It became increasingly evident that Trump's economic nationalism and Tesla's globalist supply chain were fundamentally incompatible. Musk, caught between political posturing and business reality, was unable to pivot fast enough. Efforts to lobby the administration for EV-specific exemptions failed. Tesla was seen as a symbol of elite tech, not a traditional job creator in Rust Belt America. The final nail came when reports emerged that Tesla was quietly shelving expansion plans for a second U.S. gigafactory due to unpredictable regulatory policies. Investors saw this as a sign of deep uncertainty. Confidence fell further, and so did Tesla's stock. Trump may have intended to boost American manufacturing, but in the process, he dismantled one of the most innovative American companies. Tesla, once the darling of future mobility, was now a casualty of political crossfire. And as the company reeled from economic policy gone wrong, another global superpower saw an opening and took it. As Tesla staggered under the weight of European backlash and American policy blunders, the final front in the global war against the company began to form in Asia. And unlike the chaotic and emotional unraveling in the West, Asia's retaliation was calculated, coordinated, and quietly devastating. When President Trump's tariffs targeted Chinese and South Korean exports, Asian governments did not respond with loud threats or dramatic declarations. They responded with precision. Their goal was simple: cripple one of America's most vulnerable global brands, Tesla, without appearing overly aggressive. It was a strategy that worked far more effectively than many in the West anticipated. China, home to the world's largest EV market and Tesla's crucial Shanghai Gigafactory, moved first. The government imposed new tariffs on American-made electric vehicles and components, ranging from 15% to 25%. But that was only the beginning. Chinese regulators began conducting what they called quality assurance inspections on Tesla vehicles and components, causing significant delays. Customs offices began holding up shipments under bureaucratic pretenses. Shipments of lithium-ion batteries and semiconductors were slowed, rerouted, or returned. Simultaneously, Chinese media began shifting the public narrative. State-sponsored outlets published critical stories about Tesla's safety record and its CEO's controversial comments. Nationalistic campaigns urged consumers to buy domestic, citing economic patriotism and stability. It worked. BYD, NEO, and Xpeng seized the moment, ramping up production and marketing their vehicles as affordable, reliable, and politically neutral. Within 3 months, Tesla's output from the Shanghai Gigafactory dropped by nearly 40%. Local sales cratered, while export shipments faced customs bottlenecks. South Korea followed China's lead, but used a more regulatory approach. The country imposed new battery safety standards that required Tesla to undergo additional certification processes. These weren't applied to domestic brands like Hyundai and Kia, putting Tesla at a competitive disadvantage. Hyundai used the opportunity to launch an aggressive PR campaign highlighting its compliance, local manufacturing, and superior customer support. Tesla, meanwhile, found itself bogged down by paperwork and held to standards few others were facing. The effects weren't just financial, they were symbolic. Tesla, once seen as a global leader in EV innovation, was now being portrayed as unstable, foreign, and unreliable. Consumers who once saw Tesla as a status symbol now viewed it as a geopolitical liability. In this environment, Asian brands thrived. BYD saw a 20% increase in EV sales in both domestic and European markets. NIO gained traction with its battery swapping technology, offering a level of convenience Tesla couldn't match. Even less known startups saw a boost as Tesla stumbled. The damage wasn't just external. Internal reports from Tesla showed rising employee frustration in the Shanghai factory. Workers complained of inconsistent production schedules, increased pressure to meet delayed quotas, and a lack of clear communication from U.S. headquarters. Asia had done what Europe and America couldn't: expose Tesla's vulnerability without direct confrontation. The company was being suffocated under a web of regulations, tariffs, and shifting public opinion. And Elon Musk, instead of focusing on the crisis, was busy defending his political stance on social media, deepening the divide between leadership and the workforce. Tesla found itself isolated on all sides. It had no allies, no clear path forward, and no way to recover its previous market dominance in Asia. What had once been its most promising growth region had now become the epicenter of its decline. As Tesla's global business crumbled, the crisis reached the factory floor. What began as consumer discontent transformed into full-scale employee rebellion. In early April 2025, protest banners replaced Tesla logos outside its Berlin, Shanghai, and Austin facilities. Workers who had once worn the Tesla badge with pride were now calling out unsafe conditions, poor wages, and broken promises. In Berlin, Tesla's prized European Gigafactory became the flashpoint. Hundreds of employees walked off the job, demanding better safety protocols and higher wages. Many cited worsening conditions since the economic downturn. Production pressure had doubled, brakes had been cut, and safety incidents were rising. "We were expected to do more with less every single week," said one worker, holding a handmade sign reading, "Tesla builds cars, not empires." Labor unions, previously shut out by Tesla's aggressive anti-union policies, seized the moment. In Germany, the powerful IG Metall union began organizing meetings, gaining traction quickly. They weren't just calling for wage increases. They were demanding fundamental changes to how Tesla treated its workforce. In the United States, the tone was even more heated. At the Austin and Fremont factories, workers reported 12-hour shifts with minimal overtime pay. Rumors of mass layoffs circulated. Morale plummeted. Union organizers launched a grassroots campaign calling out unsafe working conditions and citing Elon Musk's absence from internal crisis management as a sign of failed leadership. Meanwhile, in France, protests took on a different tone. Environmental activists staged demonstrations outside Tesla showrooms, accusing the company of abandoning its green mission for political gain. Signs reading, "Greenwashing with gasoline," and "Musk's empire pollutes our values," echoed the growing sentiment that Tesla had lost its moral compass. The backlash wasn't limited to employees. Consumers, many of whom had waited months for delayed deliveries, began canceling orders. Tesla's online forums turned hostile. Reddit communities that once praised the brand became echo chambers of disillusionment. Hashtags like #BoycottTesla and #MuskMadness trended on social media. Tesla's customer service department was overwhelmed. Support tickets went unanswered. Return requests piled up. For a company that once prided itself on sleek customer experiences, the internal chaos exposed a broken support system. The protests marked a critical shift. Tesla was no longer being attacked from the outside. It was now imploding from within. Discontented workers, disappointed customers, and disillusioned fans formed a perfect storm. The world no longer saw Tesla as a symbol of progress. It now represented corporate arrogance, exploitation, and instability. And as the narrative changed in the streets and on screens, it began to change in boardrooms too. Institutional investors who once stood by Musk were now raising serious concerns, but the cultural collapse had already begun. Reputation is everything, especially in the tech world. And Tesla's brand, once seen as the vanguard of innovation, sustainability, and sleek design, unraveled almost as quickly as its stock price. The collapse wasn't just financial, it was cultural, and it was deeply personal for many of Tesla's most loyal supporters. It started with Elon Musk. Once hailed as a genius, Musk had always been a polarizing figure, but in times of crisis, that polarization turned into full-scale rejection. As Tesla began to falter, Musk took to X, formerly Twitter, not to reassure investors or address customer concerns, but to rant about government overreach and defend his support of tariffs. Instead of calming the storm, Musk added fuel to the fire. He publicly insulted European leaders, calling them spineless bureaucrats. He doubled down on controversial statements that alienated workers and mocked protesters. The tone-deaf nature of his posts infuriated even Tesla fans. The media turned swiftly. Major outlets that once praised Musk as the Thomas Edison of our time now ran scathing editorials titled "The Fall of a Visionary" and "How Ego Destroyed Tesla." Documentaries and podcasts chronicled the company's rise and fall, with former employees speaking out about toxic management culture. Social media sentiment tanked. Influencers who once built entire channels around Tesla content pivoted overnight. YouTube reviewers declared that Tesla no longer represented innovation. Instagram influencers deleted their Tesla posts. TikTok videos mocking Musk went viral, further damaging his already fragile public image. Surveys in both Europe and the US showed a sharp decline in Tesla's brand favorability. In Germany, fewer than 30% of respondents said they would consider buying a Tesla again. In the US, trust in Musk as a CEO had fallen below 40%, according to a CNBC poll. But perhaps most damaging was how Tesla's cultural collapse gave rivals a clear opening. Hyundai, Volkswagen, and BYD launched aggressive marketing campaigns portraying themselves as the stable, ethical, and forward-thinking alternative. Their messaging was consistent, reliable performance without the drama. Tesla, once a symbol of the future, now resembled a relic of a misguided tech era. The story had shifted from innovation to implosion, from inspiration to caution, and with its cultural cachet slipping away, even more powerful rivals began sharpening their knives for what came next. As Tesla's empire teetered on the edge of collapse, its competitors moved swiftly to fill the void. While Musk fought political battles and scrambled to address production delays, legacy automakers and rising Asian brands saw an unprecedented opportunity to redefine the electric vehicle landscape. Volkswagen, the German automotive titan, was the first to strike. With its ambitious ID series, especially the ID.4 and ID.5, VW rolled out a coordinated European campaign that capitalized on Tesla's crumbling image. Ads painted Volkswagen as reliable, grounded, and forward-looking, everything Tesla was no longer perceived to be. The German public, already shifting away from Tesla, embraced VW's message. Sales soared. Volkswagen wasn't just reacting, it was planning. The company accelerated production at its German EV factories, offered competitive financing, and publicly emphasized its commitment to European labor practices. The message was subtle but clear. We are European, we are stable, and we won't leave you hanging. Meanwhile, in Asia, Hyundai and BYD launched parallel offensives. Hyundai, with its Ioniq 5 and 6 models, leaned into its reputation for quality and practicality. Its marketing campaigns emphasized consumer trust, safety, and innovation without the drama. Hyundai's EVs were not only more affordable than Tesla's, but they also came with reliable support networks, an area where Tesla had consistently struggled. In South Korea, Hyundai became a national symbol of resilience. In China, BYD was leading the charge. Backed by favorable government policies and subsidies, BYD positioned itself as the future of sustainable mobility. Its vehicles were cheaper, featured battery innovations like the Blade battery, and were increasingly seen as safer and more accessible than Tesla's offerings. BYD and NIO took advantage of Tesla's absence in the public consciousness. They hosted live demos, offered better warranty programs, and invested heavily in customer education and community building. NIO even launched battery swapping stations across key cities, reducing range anxiety, a problem Tesla had not addressed with the same creativity. Tesla's fall gave these companies more than just customers, it gave them legitimacy. For years, Tesla had been the yardstick by which all other EVs were measured. Now, that yardstick was gone, and the race was wide open. Media coverage that once breathlessly compared every new EV to Tesla now turned its attention to BYD's market dominance and Volkswagen's global expansion. Dealerships that once struggled to move electric models now reported record sales. In some regions, wait lists for non-Tesla EVs extended months into the future. Tesla's competitors began poaching its suppliers, its engineers, and even its customers. The new leaders in the EV space didn't need to reinvent the wheel. They just needed to be consistent, competent, and customer-focused. And while Tesla was distracted with internal crises and external controversies, Hyundai, Volkswagen, and BYD quietly reshaped the future of electric transportation. The era of Tesla as the undisputed EV leader was over. A new era had begun. One defined by competition, cooperation, and companies that understood the value of trust as much as technology. Tesla's downfall was not an isolated incident. It sparked a chain reaction that reshaped the global electric vehicle market. For over a decade, Tesla had been the North Star guiding EV innovation. Its battery technology, sleek designs, and autonomous ambitions set industry benchmarks. But with its collapse, the gravitational center of the EV world began to shift. The first and most immediate change came in trade policy. European and Asian governments, previously skeptical about nationalistic production quotas, quickly embraced localized manufacturing. The European Union passed new incentives rewarding companies that produced at least 70% of their EV components domestically. This was a direct response to the instability caused by Tesla's globally scattered supply chains. Volkswagen, Renault, and Volvo immediately benefited. These companies already had domestic manufacturing infrastructures in place. With Tesla sidelined, their vehicles suddenly became the safer, more patriotic choice for European consumers. In China, the government doubled down on its efforts to create a self-sufficient EV economy. BYD, NIO, and XPeng received increased tax breaks, research grants, and preferential treatment in domestic and export markets. Tesla's declining influence allowed these brands to experiment, innovate, and grow without having to compete with Musk's marketing juggernaut. Supply chains also began to realign. Raw material contracts for lithium and cobalt, once dominated by Tesla, were redistributed among emerging players. Companies that had previously been locked into long-term agreements with Tesla now found themselves courted by multiple suitors. The result was a more balanced, less monopolistic ecosystem. New industry standards began to emerge. For years, Tesla's supercharger network had been the gold standard, but with Tesla's future uncertain, automakers began developing a universal charging protocol under an EU-led initiative. In Asia, China's GBT standard became the default, bolstered by infrastructure expansion across Southeast Asia. Perhaps the most profound shift occurred in the perception of innovation itself. Tesla had long been seen as the avatar of future forward thinking. Its autonomous driving dreams, vertical integration model, and disruption-first mentality were admired, even feared. But as those dreams crumbled, a new philosophy took root: sustainable innovation through collaboration. Automakers began pooling research, sharing patents, and building shared platforms. Volkswagen and Ford announced joint ventures. Hyundai and Kia launched open-source software platforms for EV systems. The goal was clear: create robust, scalable, and reliable systems that weren't dependent on the whims of one visionary leader. Tesla's absence left a vacuum that collaboration quickly filled. Governments, manufacturers, and suppliers realized that no single company should hold the keys to the future of clean energy, and so the industry evolved. The global realignment also meant a cultural change. Consumers grew weary of hype-driven brands. They began prioritizing transparency, accountability, and service. Tesla's fall made people ask hard questions. Who is responsible when a car fails? When a company lies? When innovation turns reckless? Tesla had once set the agenda. Now, it was a case study, a warning. And while it might still have a future, the rest of the world had already moved on, recalibrated, and rebuilt the EV market in its absence. Tesla's journey has never been ordinary. It began as a niche startup with a bold dream to replace the internal combustion engine with clean electric power. Against all odds, it succeeded. It became a trillion-dollar company, disrupted an entire industry, and inspired a global EV revolution. But in 2025, that same company found itself on the brink of collapse. The fall of Tesla wasn't the result of one bad quarter or a single flawed decision. It was the product of compounded crises, political entanglements, economic miscalculations, workforce revolts, and a profound cultural shift. The world that once embraced Tesla for its vision had begun to reject it for its volatility. Elon Musk, once celebrated as a genius, now faces the hardest test of his career. Can he restore trust? Can he refocus the company on innovation instead of ideology? Can Tesla reinvent itself once again, this time without the safety nets it once relied upon? Some analysts believe a leadership change may be necessary, that bringing in a seasoned CEO to stabilize operations and rebuild external relationships could be the first step to recovery. Others argue that Tesla must shrink to survive, cut costs, refocus on core models, and abandon risky moonshots like autonomous taxis and humanoid robots. Still, there is hope. Tesla retains incredible engineering talent, advanced battery technology, and a global brand that, while damaged, is not beyond repair. A new generation of consumers may eventually give Tesla another chance, but only if the company learns from its failures. In the end, Tesla's story is far from over, but it will never again be the same. The collapse of this empire has reshaped the auto industry, forced governments to rethink industrial policy, and reminded the world that no company, no matter how visionary, is immune to the consequences of its own choices. Once again, thanks for watching this video. If you got something out of this, hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next one. And hey, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Agree, disagree, or something in between. I'd love to hear it.